Welcome to the Road to the IPO podcast. I'm your host, Hugo Prince. So, this is the first episode in English. I did just one in French. That was the first episode for 2021. It was with my friend Julien Bro, an entrepreneur who's the founder of Harbacon. Harbacon is a mobile application in the fintech industry that helps you take better financial decisions. So, we talk about finance, we talk about having a budget, and a lot of like everything that happened with the stock market recently, the GameStop saga. So we talk about it, but it's in French. So if you understand French, I think it's a pretty good podcast. It's available right now. So I invite you to go and listen to it. But today, guess I met him to one of my events, and he came like I think he came to two or three of my events. So I'm very excited to have him on the podcast. He goes by the name of Mose. Mose. I don't. How do you pronounce your family name? Mose.
Boachie.
Mose
Boachie.
Boachie. Sorry about the Mose Boachie. Okay, so Mose is a pharmacist, YouTuber. Mose helps young success driving entrepreneur to go after their dreams while living an all-around healthy life. So hi, Mose. How you doing?
Hi, Hugo. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm doing great.
Yes.
Thank God. I cannot complain.
I'm very excited to have you in the podcast. We were trying to do something last year in 2020, but I know a lot of stuff happened. The pandemic happened,
Uh,
and you're a pharmacist. So before I begin the podcast, I just want to say thank you for your hard work, and everyone that is watching and listening to this podcast that is an essential worker. Thank you so much for all your work that you did during this pandemic, and also thank you most. I know that you work hard and you've been into that. You've been really one of the main workers into this pandemic, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about first of all about your like about you. So you study pharmacist at the University in Montreal, right?
yes, yes.
So what did attract you? Because I know that your sister is also a pharmacist, and you said in one of your posts that she inspired you to become a pharmacist. Is that right?
Absolutely. My sister is a pharmacist. She's older than me. I'm 26 years old. She's 32.
Yes.
And yes, so when she got into pharmacy school, I was in high school. So I saw what kind of work she was doing, the kind of studies that she was following. And when she became a pharmacist, I really saw what's because at first I wasn't familiar with the profession of pharmacy.
Yes.
So in my head, pharmacists were just the medication dispatchers. But when I came to see her at her work, and she used to tell me stories about what she was doing all day,
Yeah.
it really pulled a heartstring for me because she was invested in the community. She was providing care, so clinical care.
Yes.
So being a pharmacist is not only dispatching medication. There's and you analyze medication profiles. You send recommendations to doctors because pharmacists at the core are the medication experts.
Okay.
This is our superpower. That's how we distinguish, differentiate ourselves from the other health professionals.
Yes.
So
So
medication is our wheelhouse. Interaction, how medication works, mechanism, um, efficacy, safety, side effects of medication. This is the pharmacist's wheelhouse.
yes.
So there's a lot of memorizing during pharmacy school, and I've always had a good memory, and I knew I wanted to get into the healthcare, but I wasn't sure. Was I going to go into dentistry, med school, pharmacy school? So I kept my options open, but my sister is really what
Inspire you.
dictated my path in a way because she was close to me. We're really close, even as siblings. So she influenced me
So
for sure.
what made you attract you both in you and your sister to the health system? What was it that do you guys wanted to help people get better
Yeah,
and shape? What was it that attract you to that?
to the healthcare.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's probably our grandma.
Okay.
Our grandma, she was really sick. She had as I can remember, all the health problems under the sun.
Yeah.
She used to spend a lot of time to doctor clinics, to medical clinics, I mean, and to pharmacies. We had to call pharmacies, go out to pharmacy for her. She spent a lot of time at the hospital. She was undergoing, when she was alive, she was undergoing dialysis. So we've seen like how my grandma was handling all the medical treatments, all the medications. And we've seen the people that work with her, the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacists. So I think that's what really got us familiarized with being a healthcare provider, because at the core, at our home, we were caregivers for our grandmas.
Yes.
So for us, it only made sense for us to go into that lane of healthcare.
Okay, good. So you also study at Université de Laval in management for pharmacy.
Yes,
So this is
yes.
something I want to talk, because we most people think they study pharmacies. You go to, of course you have to go to your doctorate and everything. So you went to Université de Montréal, but you also did another field in management, because most pharmacists need to know about how to manage a team, how to manage the business. When I go to my pharmacist, I don't see him as an entrepreneur. I see him more like you say, like a medical provider. So that's
Mhm.
why I want to talk about it. I think most people they they see the pharmacist the same way as I see it, like a medical person. So I want to talk about that side of entrepreneurship. What did you learn at University in Laval?
Yes, so that's an amazing question, because being a pharmacist is not one thing. There's other facades to being a pharmacist. Um, and like you mentioned, we have the business aspect of pharmacy,
Yes.
or being an entrepreneur. And this is not all pharmacists are like that. Most pharmacists are just or just or only or satisfied. I'm not gonna say just in a way that's not good. Or satisfied with being only a healthcare provider.
Okay.
But pharmacists are at the opportunity, especially in Quebec, of owning a pharmacy. And as opposed to the rest of Canada, or as opposed to the US, pharmacists here in Quebec has the exclusive right of ownership when it comes to a pharmacist.
Okay. Wow.
So in order to own a pharmacy in Quebec, you have to be a pharmacist.
Okay. So you only have
So
to have to be a pharmacist, and then you can own a
a
pharmacy.
pharmacy.
You can
Yeah.
buy. Do you like? Can you just open one, or you have to like buy like a franchise?
Yes, there's different way to have a pharmacy. You can start a startup.
Yes.
That's pretty difficult, especially in Montreal. There's a pharmacy at every street corner.
Yeah.
It's like a market that's not saturated, but pharmacies are not missing here. Let's put it that way. So a startup is pretty hard to have or to manage. Most people they buy an existing pharmacy.
Exactly.
For instance, a pharmacist that's close to retirement wants to sell his pharmacy, and then you buy the pharmacy from the retiring pharmacist.
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
and what I learned in University of Laval is to manage is pharmacy management, because being a business owner, you need to develop skills that the PharmD, the doctorate of pharmacy, don't teach you. The doctorate of pharmacy, the PharmD teaches you to be a clinician, a healthcare provider. It doesn't teach you how to be an entrepreneur, how to manage a team, or human resources, or marketing, how to market your pharmacy. It doesn't teach you that. So that's why I needed to, after my PharmD, to sign up for a program to learn more about the management of pharmacy, how to be a um, all around good pharmacy businessman or pharmacy manager.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So having that experience, do you take it, because you say not all of them like go towards that path, having like
yeah.
business experience, background, studies. So do you think that it makes a big difference when you have that background, and you think more you think Do you think about yourself more as an entrepreneur than a pharmacist? Do you think you have a more big advantage?
It depends. I think it depends on each person's personal goals. Even in real life, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody's meant to own a business. So it depends really on the person and what kind of personality you have.
Yeah,
So me, as long as you do what you love and you're happy where you are, I think in that way, that's a big advantage. I think being happy in what you do is a big advantage. So
exactly.
for a pharmacist who would like only to work at a community pharmacy and not really manage a pharmacy or be a pharmacist owner, manage people, manage money, yeah. If that person is happy in being a clinician, only a clinician, I think that person has won in his way because he's happy.
Yeah,
I think that's a real victory when you're happy in what you do. And the same thing, some pharmacists, they don't like to work in community pharmacies. Community pharmacies are the pharmacies that you talk about, the
yeah,
big banners, Jean Coutu, the pharmacies that we have on every street corner. But some pharmacies are more comfortable working in the hospitals because there are pharmacists in hospitals.
yeah, yes, true. Yeah.
Yes. So they treat inpatients.
Okay.
Other pharmacists work in the industry. So with pharmaceutical companies, they get to travel, they get to be researchers in manufacturing new medications and stuff. So I think that's what I love about the profession of pharmacists, like multifaceted. There's different lanes for everybody.
Exactly. So you can choose your lane. Like you say, you can work in the
Yes,
hospital and community pharmacist. You can have your own pharmacy. So everyone has to choose their own path.
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
You were talking about community pharmacists. You mentioned a group Janko too. I think you did almost all of them, like Proxim, group Janko too, Shopper Rock Map, and even now you're in a startup. You have your own startup group, Horizon Santé. So what are the difference between those, the ones that you did, and now when you have your own startup? Like I know that Group Janko too is one of the biggest one in Quebec, so they have a very different system than your own startup. So what did you learn for a community
Yeah.
pharmacy?
First, to correct you, it's not my pharmacy, it's not my startup. I just work there as a
Okay.
head pharmacist,
Okay.
um, and it's an independent pharmacy. I
Okay.
think the main difference is I've, even like a store, you go to a restaurant, they each have their own styles.
Yes.
That's what makes them different. It's not that they're doing something bad. They all have their own style and they play on different strengths. So the main difference that's between a small independent pharmacy versus a big franchise, like the one that you named,
Yes.
is I'm not gonna say that it's the approach. It's the approach. Some people, it depends on the patient too. Huh?
Yeah.
As a patient or a client, some people they like to go in a pharmacy and see that they have many choices, that they can buy anything. There's more than just medication. It's like a grocery store. They can buy
Yes. You start.
stuff and that have long opening hours. For instance, people who work late, that finish work at 8 o'clock, they would like a pharmacy that close late at 10 o'clock. That's these people, these patients and clients will go towards those big franchise more.
Yes.
Okay, whereas the patients who wants, neighborhood pharmacy with not too many people and have a really close relationship with their pharmacist and uh, like those malls restaurants that you see like
Yeah. The mom
with
and pops
that
restaurant.
family vibe.
Yeah. Mom and pops restaurants. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So these people will oftentimes go towards more independent and smaller pharmacies. So it's different. They're all good in their way. They all play on different strengths, and it really depends on. Yes, the pharmacist that's going to work there. You need to find a pharmacy that suits your personality,
Yes.
but also for the clientele, for the patients, and for the clients. Um, Depending on what kind of vibe do you want as a patient or what kind of service do you want, you will opt for one or the other.
because you mentioned just now that some people like to have that kind of a special relationship with the pharmacist, that they know each other. Like I go to towards that independent pharmacist. I know that pharmacist. I always go there. You think you think for them is a good way to know to get the medications because the pharmacist already knows him. Because if you go to like a big franchise, I can go, I just go and I never really see the pharmacist.
For
Just
But
listening until the end. I hope you enjoyed the show.
um,
Please leave a
yeah, but I
review
want
or
to
a comment
rectify
on all
that.
the
It's
audio
not because
platforms like
you
Apple
go to a
Podcasts,
big
Google Podcasts, and
pharmacy or a big
Spotify. And
franchise
also,
that
if you want to be
you
part of our
won't have a
next
close
event, you can
relationship
always
with your
go on our
pharmacy.
Facebook
I
page
think
and you
it
can see
depends
all
on
the
the
dates. So
pharmacist
I hope to
itself.
see
It
you
doesn't
at one
depend
of
on the
our events. If
pharmacy.
not, I will see
okay.
you in
Okay,
the next
because
episode.
me,
Thank
I
you.
worked at Jean Coutu in pharmacy. I had a really close relationship with some patients. They knew my name. I knew their name. It really depends on the person,
Yes,
first and foremost, not on the pharmacy. So that's why I would say that the service and the proximity that you can get with your health provider, with your pharmacist in that case, doesn't matter in which pharmacy you're going. It could be an independent pharmacy or a big pharmacy. It really depends on the pharmacist himself, or you know what I mean?
about the person inside depend.
Yeah, the person, their availability, how the pharmacy is organized. Because even for big pharmacies, they're not organized the same way. Sometimes you can go to Jean Coutu at this side of the city that operates like that, the service is like that, and you go to another Jean Coutu where people are different. The the customer service is different, is better. So even within big pharmacies, there are differences, you know?
Yes, I
You
was.
cannot like paint them with the same brush.
Yeah, depend of the people that manage it, that pharmacy. Yes,
Yes, it depends on the people that manage their pharmacies and the people themselves.
yes,
But every pharmacist have their own strengths. Like I've been to different environments, different workplaces, and I can tell you, I picked something, I left with something amazing, a learning experience from each of these pharmacies.
yes.
Yeah.
So are pharmacists as important as doctors? We put doctors in a big pedestal because they take care of ourselves. Like we go and see the doctors, they prescribe us medications, but sometimes we don't really realize that the pharmacist is as important as your doctor. Is that right?
Yeah. It's not a matter of importance, it's a matter of complementing each other.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned previously, we all have, as health professionals, we all have our superpowers.
Thank you.
Are you a superhero fanatic or?
Yes, yes, I.
Yes. La Ligue des Super-Héros, I don't know how to say it in
Is this the
English.
big that the Snyder Cut?
Yes, like the comics book, you see that they were a forefront of superheroes, and they all have different superpowers. They work together, they save the world together,
Yeah,
and that's it's the same thing with health professionals. So doctors have their superpowers that pharmacists don't have. Pharmacists have superpowers that doctors don't have. Nurses have their superpowers. Um, Dentists have their superpowers, and even within the pharmacy technicians, that's people that people don't always acknowledge, but they're really the backbone of the pharmacy. Without them, pharmacists wouldn't be the way they are right now.
exactly. So I
Yeah.
think pharmacists are like Superman.
Yes. Like I mentioned, the doctor, their superpower is physical exam, diagnosis, and um, yeah, diagnosis and physical exam. This is not in the pharmacist realms of acts that we can do. This is a doctor's lane. But when the doctor diagnoses something, he prescribes a medication, it has to go through the pharmacist because the pharmacist is like the police. He
Oh,
sees that if the right person get the right treatment for the right reason under the right conditions and for the right reasons.
yes.
That's our job. So if we see something that's not appropriate, we contact the doctor. We ask the patient, we ask the patient questions, we send recommendations to doctors. And now with the new law that has passed in Quebec, especially considering the pandemic and doctors are under a lot of pressure, pharmacists now can do many things in terms of prescribing. We can initiate treatments now. We can do some sort of, to a certain extent, physical exam or mental exam. There's a lot of things that we can do just to alleviate the health system. And for instance, people that go to the emergency, there was a survey, a study that has been done saying that pharmacists have saved more than, I don't know the exact number, but a considerable amount of money to the healthcare system when it comes to preventing emergency visits.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
because some people, they go to the emergency
For a flu.
for a little cough or a little sneeze. Not as much right now because now people are scared with COVID. But even before COVID, people used to go to the emergency and for any reason and for really mild problems that could have been solved at the pharmacy.
Yes, exactly.
And now pharmacists are really proactive in helping people, and people know that pharmacists are the most accessible healthcare provider.
Exactly. Because
We're the most accessible.
yeah, the thing is because we always go whenever we have something, we always want to go and ask your doctors. You know,
Yes.
we always want to go get an appointment with a doctor. And
Yeah.
people are trying to see that your pharmacist is there for you. He's more available, and you can get something right away.
Right away. You
Yeah.
don't have to take an appointment. There's no waiting. Pharmacies are open every day. And there's even 24/7 pharmacies. So, and people have come to realize that more and more. That's how pharmacies allow the healthcare system to save a lot of money when it comes to emergency visits.
Yes, because now
Because,
you can go there and you
yes.
can get something right away, a treatment right away. Yeah.
Yeah, treatment right away. If it's something really severe that for which you should see a doctor, the pharmacy will tell you to consult. So the role of the pharmacy is to tell people when to consult. I'm not gonna lie, most people don't like to see the doctors. They don't like to go at the emergency and wait 8 hours.
Yeah.
So they could be like have a hemorrhage or bleeding from their scalp. They'll come at the pharmacy and ask you, "Oh, what can I put over this big lump?" And you're like, "Oh, sir, I think that you need to go see a doctor for that." And a lot of people don't want to go to the emergency and wait or see a doctor. They want to solve their problem quick.
Yeah.
So
It's a good way. It's a good way.
like I mentioned, part of the pharmacist's job is to redirect people to the right healthcare professionals. Sometimes it's not always doctors. We tell people you need to go see an optometrist, a dentist, a physio. So our role is really to direct people at the right places.
Exactly. So we are really into that subject. I want to talk about. You say that pharmacists have a little bit more power than before because of the pandemic, and we government wants to help the doctors also. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the vaccines. I know that right now pharmacists can now vaccinate here people in Quebec.
Yeah, it started this week.
Yes,
Yeah.
this week we're what, like the 25 of March, 2021. So yeah, starting this week in Quebec, you guys can vaccinate people. Is it the pharmacist that does the vaccination? Is like somebody else that comes in that does it?
It depends on the pharmacy, but pharmacists now are allowed to vaccinate, to be a vaccinator. Some pharmacies will have a mix of pharmacy or nurses.
Yes.
And yes, but pharmacists, or it could be a nurse. I know that at other places in Canada, pharmacy technicians are allowed to vaccinate, but not here in Quebec.
Nothing in Quebec. So
We're
somebody
not there yet.
good. But talking about that vaccination, because look, there's a lot of stuff going on, and I want to talk about vaccines. So usually it takes a long time to create a vaccine. You know, it takes longer. It takes a lot of they have to try and test to see if it works. So it takes maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't know how long does it take, but I know it takes longer. So COVID-19 hits in 2019, 2020, and now 20 around the beginning of 2021, the end of 2020, we already have a vaccine. It took like almost like not even 1 year. How did it did it to make a vaccine so fast?
Um, there's usually when you develop a vaccine or a medication, a pharmaceutical company want to manufacture a vaccine or a medication. There's initial phase of the process that can be very complicated and very long.
Yeah.
And that phase is even before starting to develop the product. And usually that phase involves looking for investors to invest in the development of the vaccine. We need the resources, we need the researchers, we need the human resources, we need the appliances, there's a lot of things that are needed. And this phase can take sometimes several years to accomplish.
Yes.
Yes. But what was different with these vaccines is that all that bureaucratic red tape that usually pharmaceutical companies face when they want to develop a vaccine, that right for the pandemic, that didn't happen.
Okay.
Because why? Because when that pandemic hit, the world economy crashed.
Exactly.
So you were playing with people's money.
Yes.
So let's say that when you play with people's money, people are really they want to act quick. And part of acting quick was investing and subsidizing these companies. So all the researchers, universities, they all mobilized. They got the money from all the governments and all the investors, all the big companies and corporations in the world. They got their money right away. They got their resources right away. Things didn't didn't last too long or last several years for them to start working on the vaccine. They could start working on the vaccines quickly. And that's what made the real difference. Because after that, when they started developing the vaccines, all the steps that we have, they need to run clinical trials, whether it's to prove efficacy, to prove safety. They had to also abide to manufacture the standards and quality control. They had to prove all that to Health Canada here and in the state, the FDA and all the health agencies in the world. The companies that developed these vaccines had to prove that.
Okay.
So that wasn't short-circuited.
So you say there was surely a manufacturer, so that's why these vaccines came out that fast.
Yeah, the access to the resources was way quicker for this time. The access to money, the access to the resources, the access to the people, the access to the scientists, the access to the appliances, to all the material that we needed. It was quicker, much quicker. It was a matter of like a few months.
So do you think now that we know that they can develop any kind of medication that faster, do you know that they will implement that system towards other stuff? Because we know we used to think that it takes a long time, but now that we know it takes a couple of months, do you think that they will implement that in order?
It depends on the emergency of the situation. I don't want to get political here. If people's money is at stake, you better believe that things are gonna go quick. Depends on the emergency. And also, I'm not gonna say that okay, it was done quick because people were losing money. I'm not gonna say that. It was a pandemic, so people were dying too.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
the emergency of the human toll, the societal burden. People were dying. People were losing their jobs. People were all the societal consequences of the pandemic. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that factored in also. That played a huge role in speeding up the process.
Yes.
Of accessing the resources.
So that one of the biggest questions that people have. They they understand that it was made fast because there a lot of people were dying and we needed to restore the economy. But most people think that because they were made fast, there's maybe some secondary effects. Could
Yes.
that is
And
that right?
I totally get that concern, but that's why I took the time to explain what was made fast in that process.
Yes, yes.
Okay, it wasn't the clinical trials that were made fast. It
Okay,
was more the initial phase of resource access
okay,
and the red tape that's usually there. But this time the red tape was taken off. So the resources were easily accessed. So that's what sped up the process. And another thing, the vaccines, I don't know if you looked at how what are the vaccines, especially the main two that we talk about a lot, the Pfizer and the Moderna.
yeah,
These vaccines, how they've been developed with a new technology that's not really, let's say, long to 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 do. It's
okay.
not really long to execute. It's a pretty simple technology, and that really helped to save some time too in the development of the
Is
vaccine.
this a new technology? Is this
Yes,
something new?
the new technology, because in these vaccines, there's no virus inside these vaccines. What has been used in these vaccines is the uh, mRNA of the virus. So it's like the DNA of the virus, a piece of DNA.
Okay,
That's it. That's what's inside these vaccines.
a piece
And
of the
that's
DNA.
something that has not been done with other vaccines. So that's why, considering that it's only a piece of DNA, the process was much quicker. It was much easier to do. And also, considering that it's not the real virus, it's not the whole virus that's inside the vaccine, it makes it kind of safer.
Yes.
It's less likely to cause any side effects or important side effects.
You know why they didn't try that before, that kind of new technology? But this is something like completely new. Then
I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. I don't know why I say I'm pretty sure. Maybe the urgency of the situation
okay,
played into that. I'm pretty sure it's something, a new technology. They probably have had data from the past on scientists or researchers that already tried that technology.
yes,
But with the context of COVID and the urgency of the situation, um, most likely they decided try this to try this technology, this new technology. They ran clinical trials, and they saw that it was effective, it was safe for the period of time that they tested it. So they went for it.
but we cannot say that there's not secondary effects. Maybe it could affect some people badly than others. That's how what always happening with vaccines, no?
Yes. And like, I'm going to tell you what I always tell my patients,
Yes.
for whether it's for vaccines or medications. Side effects are not guarantees.
Okay.
People think side effect, oh, I'm gonna get it for sure. There are possibilities.
Okay.
Okay, that's a distinction.
Okay.
There are some side effects that are more common for a particular vaccine or medication,
Yes.
and there are side effects that are very, very rare.
Okay.
That happens in one person in a 100,000 or a million.
But
It's like the lot. It's like the lottery.
so yeah, because people think there's always something, but like you
Yeah,
said,
there's
it's not
always
guaranteed.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
It, in many things that we do as people, there's always a risk in something.
yeah,
There's a risk in taking the plane.
yeah.
There's a risk in driving your car. There's a risk in everything. So that's the same thing in health. In healthcare, it's always a matter of weighing benefits, risk. What are the benefits versus the risk? If the risk outweigh the benefits, we're not going to choose that option for you or for the population.
Yeah,
If it's the contrary, the benefits outweigh the risk, we're going to use it.
exactly, exactly.
And in this situation with the vaccines, the benefits clearly outweigh the risk. I'm not saying that there's no risk and like you said, that there's no side effects. No, it's not that I'm saying. The benefits of these vaccines are higher than the risk.
Okay.
And in life, like I mentioned, there's nothing that's really risk-free, huh? If we looked at it.
Mm, it's true. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's how I'll put it.
Now, another subject, maybe it goes together with vaccines. So as soon as we start vaccinating a lot of people, they say like in June, most elderly people in Quebec are gonna be all vaccinating, and then the youngest one they're gonna start vaccinating the youngest one. I wanna talk about masks. Are we gonna still keeping the mask even with people vaccinated?
Uh, me, I'm not an expert in public health.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be the decision of the government and all the advisors that they have, Dr. Arruda and stuff. That's they make these type of decisions, and depending on the results that we get out of the vaccination,
Mm.
and have we reached herd immunity? Will a good percentage of the population get vaccinated? Because to reach community immunity, which is also known as herd immunity, we
Yes.
need to reach a certain percentage, and uh, to how much this percentage has been evaluated. This is the public health that's gonna decide that. Me personally, like I mentioned, I am not an expert. I'm just saying my humble opinion is depending on what we're gonna see with these vaccines, but because now we know these vaccines are effective up to a certain percentage,
Yes.
but we don't know for sure for how long
Mm.
they're effective. The clinical trials have been conducted for 3 months. So we know they're at least effective for 3 months.
Okay.
So considering that, I'm not 100% sure that once we all get vaccinated, we won't need any masks, all the measures are gonna be lifted, because there's still some things to discover with the vaccines.
Okay.
There's still new information unraveling with these vaccines. So it's all gonna depend. We can make predictions. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, people were making predictions that by the end of like 2020, everything's gonna go back to normal.
Um,
But how wrong were we? We were really wrong.
yeah.
So, and even the coronavirus, is still a new virus that's
Evolving.
it's been there for a year now, but we still have a lot to discover about this
Yeah.
virus. And
There's,
now there's variants.
yeah.
You heard about the variants,
Yeah.
so there's there's a lot of like uncertainty. So to say for sure that we're gonna get back to normal after the vaccination campaign, I'm not gonna say that. For sure, it's gonna help us a lot. If we don't get back to normal, we get close to normal.
Yeah. Yes.
That's for sure. And but it needs to be a concerted effort. It needs to be a collective effort. It shouldn't be like people doing one part of the efforts and the other part of the population don't do anything. No, we need to work together in order to make it work and to make that vaccination rollout worthwhile and beneficial.
Yes. Because most people now they're starting to get that fatigue that they've been like almost 1 year and a half in a lockdown, and
Yeah.
they can't go to work. Maybe they lost their job. So there's we see that now it's almost summer here. Where we are spring, but it's very hot. So people are just going outside, no mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to getting together. So maybe we don't know. Maybe there's another wave. So
Yes.
yeah.
I think like we're not done with our vaccination rollout, but people need to understand that even during the vaccination rollout, they need to keep the measures because we're even in Canada and Quebec, we're really behind in terms of number of people vaccinated that are vaccinated.
Yeah.
So we're not even half of the population. We're far from being half of the population that's vaccinated. So
Yeah.
we need to keep our measures.
So
and make sure that there's not that we don't create a third wave.
yeah, talking about that, I don't know if you've been following the other countries like the UK and Israel. They did it very
Yes.
fast. I wonder what was the how did they did it so fast to get the people vaccinated? Almost all of them.
This is pretty much a political question. I'm not a politician. Don't know the behind the scenes that's going on with our prime ministers Legault and Trudeau,
Yeah.
and the deal that they signed with the companies.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I cannot tell you why we were so slow in our process of vaccinating compared to other countries. Um,
Like
Maybe I think it's political and logistic.
yeah, like
And
as a pharmacist, that you see people coming to get vaccinated. Do you see people telling you that, oh, I didn't want to do it? Do you see some
oh
like
yes, people are concerned. People have a lot of questions. People, yeah, are really reluctant.
reluctant? Yeah.
People, I'm saying people, that it's not everybody, but some people, for sure, people address their concerns and talk to us because they try to. That's what they come to the pharmacy. They want answers.
Hmm.
Most times people rely on what they read on the internet, and sometimes when what we read on the internet is scary and it's not always reliable,
Yeah.
so they come to us to fact check and to make sure that things are.
That's why you're the pharmacist. You background everything. You explain to
Yeah,
them. So you're making
yeah,
them. This is what's going on. This is because you made a video about that, talking about you can go Doctor Google or you can come see the pharmacist. Which is, that video was good. I listened to it. So because most people just go towards Google and say, "What can I do if I'm sick?" When they can go
yeah,
to you. So
yeah,
and this is something that I really like about you, like that you put a lot of effort into your social media to educate people. You have a
yeah.
YouTube channel that has 1,000 followers, which you've been growing since last year. And I like your videos when you talk and you're doing it in both language, French and English. So you educate people like about vaccines, about the secondary effects of the vaccine, about COVID, about masks, and also
Mhm.
the generic drugs, because when I go to my pharmacist, they always ask me, "Do you want the generic rugs?" I say, "Okay," but I don't even know what they are. So can you explain what are those?
Um, Generic drugs are essentially copies of the brand name drugs.
Yes.
They're copies, so it's the same medication that's inside the medication
Yeah.
as a brand name equivalent, um, in comparable equivalent amount to. So the they're the same. So considering that they have the same active ingredient is the medication, the molecule that does the therapeutic
Mhm.
effect.
Yeah.
This is the same in both the generic and the brand name.
Okay.
What is different is all the things that just uh, as presentation, the form, the color of the pill, the shape. So that's what's different about them.
Okay. So like the branding, because
The
Tylenol is
branding, yes, the branding. They don't have the same name. And ultimately, what's different also is the price.
okay.
Why? I can explain, and I can give you the story in a nutshell.
Yes.
It's because the brand name companies, they're the ones that invented the medication.
Okay.
So they're the one that really paid for everything. They paid for the resources. They paid for the clinical trial. They paid for everything to develop that medication. They also had to pay for the promotion of the medication and make the medication known among health professionals. So there was a lot of money that was invested in creating that medication.
Okay.
And once they have all their things together, all their efficacy and safety proven, they go through the health agencies, Canada, Health Canada, in the United States, it's the FDA,
Yes.
and they get their approval from them and they hit the market.
Okay.
Once they hit the market, they have a patent that's been that they've been granted. a patent of 15 years saying that they're the only one that's allowed to make this medication. So now they can get their return on investment because they're the only one that can make the medication.
Okay.
But after 15 years of being on the market, that's where generic companies come into play. Okay, because the patent has expired. Now they can take the recipe of the brand name and copy it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but as opposed to the brand name, considering that the brand name has paid for all the research and for all the advanced and deep work, they have to invest much less money.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's why they end up being cheaper.
But it's the
They're
same.
not cheaper because they're of bad quality or they're of lesser quality. No, they're cheaper because the money that's been invested, the big part of the work that they had to pay for had been done by the brand name company.
Okay. So
Okay.
I guess the company that owns Tylenol made a lot of money for those Tylenol. They made a lot of money for those 15 years.
Yeah, Pendle, like you're talking about the stomach medication.
No, the Tylenol for the head.
Ah, Tylenol. Okay, Tylenol. Yes, Tylenol. Man, till this day, man, Tylenol. Yeah, it's
Even now,
one
you
of the most sold over-the-counter medication.
oh yeah, oh wow.
But yes,
So
everybody.
people like you have something, go get some Tylenol. Don't even
Yes,
yeah. They become
yes.
like a brand name.
Yeah, people like the brand names. People think it's like designer clothes. It's not
Exactly.
because designers clothes, they want the real brand name because they say that's the real one, better quality, but it's not the same thing for medication.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why you have to. That's why you made those videos to educate the people
Yeah.
about it. Because like
And
yeah,
and
like,
more and also specifically educate the youth, millennials, about health and about medication and how taking care of yourself is important, whether it's physically, mentally, and spiritually. And now, like you've noticed with my video, I focus more on young entrepreneurs
yes,
because I deeply feel that part of entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur is being healthy,
yes,
because you
exactly.
can lose your mind. You can, if you're not physically healthy, you don't sleep well, you don't eat well, you don't exercise, you don't go see your doctor once in a while, you don't know which medication to take for certain problems. It's gonna take its toll and it's gonna be detrimental to your entrepreneurship journey.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
What's the point of reaching your success and your goals and you're not healthy and you're not happy or not, you don't feel well or something happens to you?
Yes, exactly. That's the point because I hear a lot of stories about people, about entrepreneurs that get the money, they work harder, but the health is destroyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we talk a lot about entrepreneurs' mental health,
Hmm.
which is a big part of entrepreneurship, because if you're not strong mentally and healthy mentally, I'm pretty sure you know as an entrepreneur that
You
you
need to,
can lose your mind easily in that process. So
yeah,
it's really something that you need to look after and take care of. But the physical aspect of it too.
yeah,
We need to work out because I see physical, mental health, and even spiritual health, they're all connected. And I've lived it personally that when one of these components is not doing well, it will overlap and it will affect the other ones.
yeah, yeah.
Try for a week not to like work out and eat junk food for a week, exercise, not even a week, let's say 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Try really like to not take care of your physical health and notice the difference that it'll have on your mental health.
Yes, you feel it right away. You feel it right away.
Yeah.
You feel more tired. You concentrate less. It's
Energy
gonna,
wise.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna impact your business because you need to be
Yeah.
in shape, concentrate. If you feel bad, everything's gonna be bad after. You know.
Yeah. And I feel part of mental health also is to deal with your inner attacks, your inner insecurities,
Yeah.
because anxiety is something that a lot of entrepreneurs have. Anxiety lives rent free in our minds.
Yeah.
So it's something that we should manage. And as we know, anxiety can be a mental disorder too.
Yeah.
If you know, if it's not managed well, or if it gets out of hand, it affects your functioning, it's considered a medical mental disorder.
Yes.
Sometimes we say I have anxiety, but we use the word like loosely to say that we're stressed, or we're nervous, or we're going through a stressful situation. But anxiety, um, we use it loosely, but it can be more serious.
Exactly. So talking about that subject, because you see it like, if you see somebody that has like an injury in his body, you see it right away. Like he broke his legs, his arm. So he goes to the pharmacist and you see it right away. Okay, he broke his arm, so I'm gonna prescribe him. He's gonna get this type of medication. But you see somebody that has a mental health problem, you don't see it from the outside. So that a lot
Yeah.
of people don't like. You see, oh, I'm very tired. I'm tired. I'm anxious. People just go exercise, go sleep, but they don't see that inside that person is suffering. How do we
Yeah.
how do we change that perspective?
I think the best ways to start communicating, like we say, is many times for mental disorders or mental health, we don't see it from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
The only way for people to notice it and to process it is when we communicate, when you say, you talk. A lot of people, when they go through different difficult events, trials, or mental roadblocks or mental disorders, they isolate, they don't speak about it, they keep it hidden, because we're not gonna lie, there's a stigma still on mental health and on mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get over that stigma and to start communicating and pay attention to each other, because sometimes not everybody's going to communicate their feelings or communicate what they're going through. But if you're a listener and you watch people, you're a good observer, you can see when someone is not doing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we can't fake it for to a certain extent. But if you don't pay attention and you don't observe people, talk to people, or care about people, there's a lot of things that you're gonna miss.
Mm-hmm.
Just being attention. Some people live in the same house, but they don't even know what their children are going through,
Yeah, exactly.
because they don't talk, they don't see each other. The parents are so busy working. The the child or the teenager spend all day in his room. Husband and wives that are so caught up in working, they don't even know when the person, their spouse is not doing well mentally. So I think it's really important to take care and observe, listen. Sometimes we want to reply so quick, we don't, or we dismiss someone's feelings. Oh no, you're not feeling like that.
Yeah.
Oh no, go, like you said, you tell the person, "I'll just go take a walk."
Yeah. Because we don't see it. We don't see it.
We don't see it, but you need to listen and to get the person to open up
Yeah.
for you to see it. Sometimes you see it, but in your head is, oh, the person is just like acting out, or it's just a phase. You see that the person sleeps all day, that person doesn't eat anymore,
Yeah.
that person is always crying.
It's gonna get better. It's gonna get
Oh, it's gonna get better. It's just a phase. It's just a phase. And I even did a video, a presentation to a
Yeah.
church, because I'm Christian, and as I previously mentioned, spiritual health is really important for me.
Yeah.
To me, it's as important as physical and mental health. Your spirituality, knowing that there's somebody that has your back, that's above you,
Yeah.
that covers you. Some believing something bigger than yourself.
Yes, a sense
I
of,
think that's really important, and that takes away a lot of stress in someone's life.
yeah. You need to find a meaning. So spirituality, when you have a meaning in the way you do in the way you do things and how life works, when you know that there's somebody there to help you, there's a meaning. That's why you feel better.
Yeah. because I feel if you put all the pressure on your shoulders saying that I'm alone, I need to control my life, I need to do things my way, that's so much pressure for a human being, for a human,
Mm.
that in my head, you're going to eventually collapse or make mistakes or break under the pressure.
Yes.
So for me, it's really a good coping mechanism to send all my worries and to lift up that burden off of my shoulders and put it in the hands of someone that's more powerful and that has my best interest at heart, which is
Exactly.
God to me, you
Exactly.
know?
Yes.
And that's gonna make everything work out for the better for me.
Exactly.
And if I go back to the presentation I did at the church,
Yes.
um, because I find there's a big connection between spiritual health and spirituality and mental health. And what I've noticed oftentimes in Christian church, I'm pretty sure in other religions it could be the same too, is sometimes when people are going through mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, bipolar, um, it's easy to point the finger and say that, oh, that person doesn't pray enough, that person has a little faith, oh, that person is this, it's a demon, it's a spirit.
Yeah.
It's really hard to, yes, to judge and to point the finger and say and dismiss the mental issue.
Yeah.
So that's why I did this presentation, to really educate the church and bring awareness to the church to mental illness. It's not, there's not, there's not always a spiritual aspect of mental illness.
Yes, because when, let's say somebody suffers from a bipolar,
Yes.
people like they will say, oh, she's crazy, like,
Yeah.
um, and or she's possessed by a demon, like you said. So that's why you have to, especially in religion, you have to change that mindset. Look,
Yeah.
he he's sick, like he
Yeah.
has something, he's injuring inside. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did this presentation to help people differentiate that, the medical aspect of it, and to not always spiritualize things,
Yes.
over spiritualize things. And yeah, I'm really happy. People were really receptive, and the church, because I think that our faith in dealing with mental illness can be used not to justify or to explain why I have this mental illness, but we should use our faith in order to fight the mental illness. Pray God to put the right people on our path, to find the right doctors that's going to understand us, find the right psychotherapists, because there's also a big stigma with psychotherapy and with taking antidepressants. I know a lot of people are reluctant towards that, and they have their ideas of what antidepressants or psychotherapy is going to do to their brain. It's going to alter their brain. It's not that. So I had to debunk all those myths and stigmas that people had about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that presentation is on my YouTube channel, and it was a Zoom conference. So if people want to go check it out, especially people that are involved in the church that are Christians and they'd like to have some insight on how to deal with depression,
Yes.
that would be a good presentation for people
So
to watch.
talking about that, so if people want to contact you and they want to go to YouTube channel, I guess is the Pharma Coach.
Yes, Moses the Pharma Coach.
Mostly the Pharma Coach. So if you want to contact, and especially if you want to see that video about him talking about mental health, you can go to his YouTube channel. I'm gonna put all the links so you can contact him. Um, well, I think mental health is gonna be something that we're gonna still talking about, especially because I don't know when this pandemic is gonna be over, but we already seen it. There's some people that are suffering from mental health. They stay inside, they're maybe in an abused relationship, they get more anxious, they can exercise. So I think this is something that we're still gonna talk about it in the next decade, like in the next years, like 5 6 years, because mental health is so, like, let's talk about physical health.
Mhm.
People go to the gym, they exercise, they get in better shape, and they used to have a problem before, like about physical health. A lot of people were in bad shape. Now they they eat well, and they take care of them of the self. Now we have to talk about mental health. This is the next thing that we have to take care of mental.
Yes, yes, for sure. In this pandemic, let's say as we're gonna live with the consequences and that legacy,
Mm,
that mental legacy of the pandemic and the scars for sure. Because if you look at the news and even all the mental health institutions have seen their numbers of people with mental health issues skyrocket.
yeah. Mm,
Hospitals, psychiatric institutions, and yeah. So there's a lot of damage that this pandemic has done to people's mental health, and we see it even at the pharmacy. At
yeah.
the pharmacy, even the number of antidepressants that I'm serving has really increased.
Mm, yes. You see it. You see it, especially
You see it, and that's what I like about my job is with my job, considering that I'm in the community and pharmacy is really you can get many things at the pharmacy and you serve all the medications at the pharmacy, so you can really see the problems or what people are going through at large in the community.
yes. You see.
Before I was a pharmacist, I didn't know that many people were depressed,
Mm,
that many people were on antidepressants, people that you would have never noticed, people that you would have never guessed.
yes.
So the pharmacy has really opened my eyes to the burden of health on our society, meaning physical health. Many people that are diabetic, blood pressure, heart problems, uh, people that with mental health problems like anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disease. Um, all these little things that you see that's, oh, okay, I didn't know. And people go to the pharmacists, to pharmacies, and they develop a trust relationship with their pharmacist
Yeah.
rapidly.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of people come to the pharmacy to like pour out their heart and to to discuss their problems and stuff.
Yes.
So I
The
think
com-
being a pharmacist has really helped me develop my listening and my
yes.
empathy.
Empathy. Yes.
Yes.
That's something that you talk a lot in your videos. Empathy and listen to other people, be self-aware, and I think that's a good thing. Like we almost at the end of the podcast, so I want to just talk about that educational thing that you are doing right now, because I see that you're mostly right now into entrepreneurs. You want to help young entrepreneurs with their health, mental, physical, spirituality. So you do a lot of videos, and that's a good thing because I watch the videos and I learn a lot about the myths about vaccines, Dr. Google, So I like those videos. So what made you decide to really put yourself onto social media? Because I personally, my pharmacist is not on social media. He's an
Yeah.
older guy. The only thing when I go and see him is when I need medication. That's it. But I don't see him on social media. So what made you yourself as a pharmacist, as a person, go put a lot of content?
Um, I decided to do this primarily to get out of my comfort zone because
Mhm.
I felt like God has put a message in my heart to share
Yeah.
and not to keep for myself. And as we mentioned since the beginning of the podcast interview, that people tend to go to Dr. Google. People tend to go online to get their information.
Uh-huh.
So it only made sense to me to reach the people is to go online. People don't, especially the youth, because I'm not gonna lie, the elderly, they're not the ones that are on YouTube or that I can reach on YouTube. They're the one that come at the pharmacy and call the pharmacies to ask questions.
Yeah.
It's the young people that don't come at the pharmacy as often to ask questions.
Mhm.
So I felt that considering that millennials and the youth was my demographic, I figured that the best way to reach to them and to talk to them about their health is to get online.
Yeah. So that's why you just start posting on social media. But
Yeah,
you don't only talk about all the medication stuff. You go really into entrepreneurship because
yeah.
did you see yourself more as an entrepreneur or more as a pharmacist? What are you? Which one are you? Are you both? Are you like more entrepreneur?
As you saw on my YouTube channel, I first started making content only on medication and on
Yeah.
health. But that's what I love about YouTube, my YouTube journey is like you evolve, you change your direction, or you find out what really stimulates you or what's really your passion. And I'm still in that discovery mode.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been told that on YouTube to know really what's your niche, you need at least 50 videos. With your 50 first videos, you're gonna you're gonna redirect yourself and hone in on what you really want to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm still in discovery, but I feel like entrepreneurship is what that stimulates me.
Mhm.
And I consider myself, yes, an entrepreneur, but I'm also a health professional.
Yeah.
And I I marry the two. I'm not I'm a and. I think, especially as human beings, we need to realize that we're not just one thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I think society tries to make us believe, that we need to be one thing, and then you need to stick to your lane and not venture out to other things. But no, I think we all have personalities, we all have various interests. And what I would advise people that are like me, that are many things and that have several interests, is to sit down and find a way to make everything correlate,
Yes.
because you can mix the two together. There's a way for you to mix the two together,
Yeah. Yeah. There is a
whether it's your professions, whether it's different, whether it's two professions that you have, or whether it's two interests that you have, two passions. There's a way to marry them together and make them work and make them gel.
yes.
So
Is there a moment, because I know that we wanted to do a podcast in 2020 and you were like, we said yes, but then we miss each other. But is there a moment that you realized that I need to adapt and change my content? What was it like? Because you told me that I'm right now I'm doing I'm changing my stuff. What was the motivation? Because you say like I can do both. I can be an entrepreneur or pharmacist. But in the beginning you were doing pharmacist content.
yeah,
What made you change?
what made me change is when I felt like the inspiration stopped coming.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge one. Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like when you put out yourself on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, when you're not passionate or you're not convinced about what you do, it shows,
Exactly. Yeah.
and it feels like work.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah.
It does. And that was my cue to, okay, Moses, you're getting a little bored, and it's hard for you to write your scripts or to convey your message, get in front of the camera. You're not enjoying it as much. So maybe that's your cue, maybe to twist or to do a little shift
Mm-hmm.
and be authentic and true to yourself.
That's when you realize that yeah, okay, I
Yeah,
need
that's where I realized that I needed to,
to change a little bit.
yeah,
You
to
didn't change that.
reframe.
Yeah, reframe. That's what I'm talking about. Because you're still in your path, but you
Yeah.
change. You're going up into other stuff, other like mindset.
Yeah. Yes.
Still, even medication, but you're still going towards a mindset, self awareness.
Yes. It's not like I've put aside the pharmacist thing. No, I'm using it, but I'm using other things and I'm blending the two. And there's a way you can you can make them work. You can make that blend work and make it harmonize. There's a way. You need to sit down and figure out a strategy, but it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible, and you did it. You did great. I really love your videos. I watched them
Yes,
all, not all, but I watched them. I watched them.
yes,
You have that. I think you put some. It's not boring. It's funny. You know how to catch attention, and I really like
yeah,
it. It's well done. Well edit. So yes, it's good.
yeah. And among the topics that I touch on, I'm touching various topics. I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw the video on sexual health, erectile dysfunction.
You not. Yeah, yeah. I saw it,
Yeah,
but I didn't.
yeah. Many people think that affects only older men, but it affects even men.
Yeah, something
And
like.
younger men. It affects younger men. Yeah.
Do you see a lot
So
of younger men going to get Viagra and stuff at the
I've
pharmacy?
seen some. I'm not gonna say a lot, but it's something that people go through, and even for younger men, when they have it, for them, they're so ashamed about it, considering that they're young, they shouldn't be having that they don't go consult. So I made this video to tell them that I know that problem exists and there's our solution. You shouldn't feel ashamed about it. And sometimes when it happens, you need to find the underlying cause, and you need your doctor, your pharmacist to help you find that underlying cause.
Yes.
If you have erectile dysfunction out of nowhere and you're in your 20s, 30s, you need to ask yourself questions. You just don't have to sit back or think that, oh, I'm not gonna go and find out why I have this problem.
You need to find why. Yeah.
Yes, because yes, my purpose with the channels also to urge people to consult too when
Yes.
they see that nothing is not uh, normal or it's not adequate.
And adequate. So before we finish, there's something I want to talk. I see with the, I think like with the internet, I think every industry has been affected. You know, now groceries is online. You can buy everything online. What about terms of medication? Because I know there's a lot of people that can get medication easily on the internet without even consulting like a pharmacist. Is that something that worry you that people just can't get any medication online without really any approval?
It's not some for sure there's gonna be it's gonna the risk gonna come along if your medication don't go through a pharmacist or to a health professional to make sure that you're taking the right medication.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a risk. But in terms of does it worry me? I'm not worried because I'm not worried that I'm gonna lose my job. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because people, I feel, really need to, when it comes to their health, people still need to talk to someone, to
Okay.
talk to a real person,
Yes.
especially when they have a problem. Because when we give a medication to someone or serve that, we give the first service to a medication to someone, to a patient, our job is not done yet.
Okay.
It's not done there. That we have to do follow-ups with that person. And if that person has side effects, we need to find ways to manage the side effects. If the medication has to be changed, we need to recommend changes to the doctor. So the job is not done after that one-time service.
Okay.
So I think that's gonna be the problem with the online thing because people, yes, they get their medication, but if they have a problem, what do they do? And
You gotta go
are they
and
gonna
see
have
you.
quick, eh?
They're gonna go and see you.
They're gonna go and see you.
Yeah, they're
But
gonna
if I don't have your medical file, I don't know what you take. There's a problem.
exactly. Because at the end of the day, there's something wrong. They're gonna go see you or the doctor. So we still need people that
Yeah,
help us in that. Yeah.
for sure.
Exactly. Well, Moses, thank you so much. It has been a good podcast. I hope people enjoyed, and I really enjoyed your videos. I recommend people to go and watch the videos on YouTube. I'm gonna put all the links so they can go and see and contact you if they have questions. It was a pleasure having you on the podcast, and I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we did it in 2021 when you adapt and you feel better about your content.
Yeah,
That's what I like.
yes. Thank you for having me, and what you're doing is amazing. Um, put your platform for entrepreneurs to talk about what they do. That's really I really like your spirit and what you're about, your mission, your purpose.
Thank you.
That's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Keep
Mo.
up the good work.
Thank you. So thank you so much for the people that watch it. Bye.
Thank you for watching until the end. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the bell for more notifications.